All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Next concept we're going to talk about with formulas and geometry is trapezoid. The goal is to find the area of a trapezoid, and as a student, as a math student, you will be able to calculate the area of a trapezoid. Everything that we write, that I write, you make sure you write down as well, because you know what? All this information is important. To get the full amount of points, you got to write everything down, all right? Here we go, next piece. All right. There's some key words that we want to talk about. We want to talk about the word trapezoid, and we want to talk about the base of a trapezoid as well as the height. But you should also have graphic organizer number 2. Now there's two sides of this. One is on trapezoids, the other one is on the rectangular prism. You should have side 1. Here we go. The next piece that we want to talk about is trapezoids. All right, a trapezoid is a quadrilateral, quad meaning 4, and you notice it has 4 sides. 1, 2, 3, 4. Whoops, what'd you do, Coach K? I don't know. And if you also notice that this is the base and this is the base, so we got 2 bases, and those bases are parallel. That means they'll never intersect. But these 2 legs will. They'll intersect at some point, and they are not parallel. All right, they're called legs. All right? The height of a trapezoid is either designated by a dotted line, shown by a dotted line, or a straight line with a box in the corner like this. Looks like a tall chair. All right, that's your height. You got base 1, you got base 2. All right, it's really important you understand those things. All right, here's an example of a parallelogram, which means you have opposite sides parallel. Now, that's not really something we're talking about right now, but you notice these are divided into 2 trapezoids, the lighter one, the darker one, and that is the formula, ladies and gentlemen, right there. So you have a base here, little tiny base up here, and then when you flip it over, you got bigger base here, smaller base here. Height is always from base 2 to base 1, between the 2 bases, shortest distance, right? All right, here we go. And in word form, this is the way the formula reads: area equals 1/2 times, remember this is times, height times the sum of the 2 bases, base 1 plus base 2. In symbol form, it would be A equals 1/2 H times B1 plus B2. And I'm going to show you that as we go, okay? Here we go. Now this is your first example, and even though it's all written out, I want you to get used to writing it down. Now you don't need to write the words, you just need to do this process right here. I don't need the words, I just need this. You copy this and make sure you listen to what I'm saying as we go through it, okay? This connects to this shape right here. All right. All right, so we have A equals 1/2 times base. All right. Not sure why that's doing that. Thank you. No, I don't like that. Okay. And 1/2 H times base 1 plus base 2. Substitute. Height is 5, which is right here. That's your height. All right, substitute that in. And you're going to take the 2 bases, base 1 and base 2, and you're going to add them together. And that's what this shows right here. All right, so you get 1/2 the height, which is 5, times the sum of the 2 bases. 1/2 times 5 times the sum, which is 14. And if you take 14 times 5, which I'm going to do right now, if you take 14 times 5, you will get 70. Now remember, we talked about half as being something that you could do with this, right? 5/10. Now if you're in whole number form or decimal form, it's okay. But if you get to fractions, you might want to stay with the half as a fraction, okay? And if you take 5/10 times 70, you will get, in 1 decimal place, goes right there, the answer would be 35. So your area would equal 35, all right? Just like it says right there. But that is your first example. Here we go. Next problem. All right, here's example 2, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get going and not take too much time. I don't want to be wordy. I get to be that way, though, don't I? All right, here we go. We got 1/2 times the height times the sum of the 2 bases, right? Base 1, base 2. Remember, bases are parallel. Here's base 1, here's base 2, here's our height. All right? And so we take A equals 1/2, and our height is 4, and our bases 4 plus 7. All right, right, we got 4 added to 7. Put it in there. And then we have a equals 1/2 times 4 times 11, which is 1/2 times 44, if you're going to stay in fraction form, over 1. And that means we could pre-simplify. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 44 divided by 2 is 22. And a would equal 22 over 1, or 22. And again, label inch square area. All right, here we go. Next example, ladies and gentlemen, number 3. And if you have any questions and need to stop, you just feel free to do that. A equals 1/2 times height times the sum of the two bases, right? Always add it. Always put it in there. A equals 1/2. Here's our height. Base 1, base 2. And I know some of you had the experience of doing this, but others haven't. So I have to be a little bit more, I have to demonstrate a little bit more where those pieces are. All right? So we got 1/2 times 4 times the sum of our two bases, which is 6 added to 8. And I suppose you could do this another way too. You could take 1/2 of 4, which is 2, and solve that piece, put it there, times 14, the sum of the two bases. And you could say 2 times 14, 28. And so it's 28 inch square. Ladies and gentlemen, congratulations. We're moving right along here. All right, example 4. Example 4. Here we go. We got the same thing again. I know it gets redundant, but gotta write those, gotta communicate. Always communicate, ladies and gentlemen, about what you're doing. That's one way of doing it, writing it all out. You got 1/2 times your height. That's an ugly looking height, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Let's try that again, Coach K. There we go. So you got 1/2 of 5 times the sum of the two bases, which is base 1 plus base 2. And you have 1/2, which you could also say is 5/10 in this case, times 5 times 7. All right? And you could multiply 7 times 5 first if you'd like, and you would have 5/10 times 35. And if you multiply that out, which I'm going to do right here, you would end up with 17 5/10. Right? 5 times 5, excuse me, is 25. Put 2 up there. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 2 is 17, and it would be 17 5/10 inch squared. That is an ugly squared, but that's doing it. That's the way it's got to be. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Now, we're on an independent task. You stop this right now and finish them. Come back, and I'll show you the answers. Go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I don't have a whole lot of room here, so I'm going to do one problem. You're going to copy it, and I'm going to erase it and do the second one. All right, here we go. Very first thing you want to do is write A equals 1/2 base times height. And, whoa, can't do that, Coach K. Got to put an H in there. Do you remember that? Yeah, I do. Get all excited and try to write faster than my brain thinks. All right, so here we go. We got 1/2, which in this case can be 5/10 times the height, which is 7, times, maybe it would be easier for me to write that, times the sum of the two bases, which is 7 plus 11. That is not a very good 7 or 11. Yeah, let's try that all over again. What do you think? Yeah, that'd probably be a good idea. All righty. So we got base 2 there, right? All right. Times 7 plus 11. Here, that's a whole lot better. So now we got A equals 5/10 times 7 times 18. All right. And A equals, let's see, what is, let's see, we could just take 5/10 times 7, which would be 3 5/10 times 18. And if we do that, we would have, and I'm going to do that right, and let's see, I'll put it over here so you can see it a little bit better. If I get it too far down there, it'll be just a mess. 8 times 5 is 40, carry the 4, 24 plus 4 is 28. Put a 0, 1 times 5, 1 times 3, And again, we're going to run into trouble down here, Coach K, because you got too sloppy and you're writing too big and your finger's not small enough. I know. Add those together and we will get 8 plus 5 is 13. Carry the 1. 5 plus 1 is 6. We have one decimal place, and there it is. Ladies and gentlemen, guess what? The answer is 63, and it would be meters squared, right? All right, make sure you got that for example. Independent task 1. I know it's taking a long time. Got to get it done, though, and that's just the way it is. All right, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe I'm just going to keep going here and really try to go a little faster, right? So we got number 2. A is equal to a half times the height times the 2 bases, right? All right, here we go. We got A equals a half times, remember, here's our height. Yep, right there it is, 14 times, come on now, come on, thank you, times the 2 bases, 10 plus 16, right? All right, so let's just take a half right now, 14, which is 7, times 26. And if we take 7 times 26, which I'm going to do right here, that'd be 42, carry the 4, that'd be 18. The answer would be 182 feet squared. That's the area of number 2. Alright, I'm going to erase it all. So if you need to stop it, stop it. But here we go. Let's get it done because I have to move on. And I'm sorry about the length of time it's taken today, ladies and gentlemen. Just the way it is some days. 1/2 times our height, which is 5. I'm just going to write it in. Times the sum of the 2 bases, which is 8 plus 12, right? All right, so we got A equals, and again, I'm going to take this times 5 times 20. You know what? Since it's all multiplication, I'm going to start right here. And we're going to just say 5/10 times 100. What's a half of 100? The answer is 50. 50 centimeters squared, ladies and gentlemen, for number 3. That's that one right there. All right, here we go. Let's move it on. Here's your exit ticket. When you're done, show me. Make sure you copy it all down. When you're done with that, you have a short assignment with this, and I just want to have you work with it so you understand it, so you can get that mentally in your mind as to what to do when you get to the I-step test. If we have that on the I-step test. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, congratulations. I got it in less than 13. I know, too slow, but that's the way it is.